Hello everyone. I'm going to talk about to be impacted by early connections. Yes, our lives are up and down. Sometimes we encounter gain, but other times, we encounter loss. Sometimes we encounter fame, and other times we encounter disgrace. Sometimes we encounter praise, and other time we encounter blame. Sometimes we are happy, but other time we encounter unhappy or disappointed. That's why we are Bodhis. We should study the Buddha teaching and practice them by knowing the life is up and down. It's changeable. We cannot control the nature of our existence, right? We cannot wish for the gain only, fame. We cannot wish for fame, the praise or pleasure only, right? So yes, in our life we encounter 4 or 8 worldly connections or 8 worldly concerns. So we sometimes happy and sometimes unhappy. It is the nature of life. We cannot wish for only a happy feeling, right? We can encounter unhappy feeling. So when we know the worldly connections or worldly concerns, we should we should be unaffected by worldly connections. It's hard, right? That's why the Buddha say the uneducated person, right? The uneducated or uneducated or ordinary person, encounter the gain. He, how do we say? They don't reflect. I have encountered gain. So gain is impermanent, suffering and perishable. They don't know, right? They don't know. They don't know the truth. So when they don't know the truth, they favor the gain, but they oppose loss, right? They oppose loss. So they are happy when they encounter gain, but they are unhappy when they encounter loss, right? Because they are an uneducated, ordinary persons. Okay. Right? But for the uneducated noble disciple, encounter gain, they know. The gain is impermanent, suffering and no self. They know, so they don't favor the gain. They don't attach to the gain, and they hate loss. No, they know, and then they don't favor the gain and oppose loss. No. So that's why they escape from rebirth, old age, sickness, death, lamentation. How do I say? Lamentation, physical and mental suffering, and the last one they escape from the despair, right? This grief, right? So in short, they don't encounter suffering because they are educated, noble disciples, right? So they know gain is suffering, gain is impermanent, but the ordinary persons don't know the truth, right? Don't truly understand the truth. That's why they favor the gain and oppose the loss, right? Yeah, so it's hard for us. Ordinary persons, encounter blame. They favor blame, but they oppose. No, how do I say? Ordinary persons encounter praise. They favor it, but when they encounter blame, they dislike. They oppose it. It means that they are unhappy when they encounter blame, but they are happy when they encounter praise, right? It is hard for them. Worldly connection control the mind, occupy the heart. They don't, they don't follow the Buddha teaching. They cannot escape from sorrow and lamentation, right? Because they favor only good things, but they hate the undesirable thing. Yes, they favor desirable thing, but they oppose undesirable things. So they are yes, they are the problem. They cannot escape from problem. Yes, they will fall down into the suffering because they are tied to the desirable thing, but they oppose the undesirable things. So for the disciple persons or noble disciples, they encounter blame, but they dislike. Yes, they dislike. They don't dislike and they don't favor, or they don't oppose the blame. When they encounter praise, they think it is impermanent, suffering, no self. So they don't favor praise, and they don't oppose blame when they encounter blame or criticism. When someone criticizes them, they think it is impermanent, changeable, and perishable. They think so. That's why the blame does not occupy the mind, right? The blame does not disturb them, right? Yeah, so they are good, but for us, we always feel happy or unhappy when we encounter praise or blame, right? Yes, for honor and disgrace, we fondly honors, we fondly fame, right? So when we encounter fame or we experience honor, we feel happy, we feel satisfied, right? When we encounter disgrace or disgrace, we feel unhappy. So we hate disgrace, but we like fame. We hate, we dislike disgrace, but we like fame, right? So when we favor fame, but we oppose disgrace, it means that we don't know they are, fame and disgrace are, we don't know they are suffering, they are impermanent, or they are no self. We think that we know. That's why we need only the good thing. We need only desirable thing. But this, we are endowed with ignorance. So they occupy our mind, our heart. So we can escape. We are not freed from, rebirth, old age, sickness, death, lamentation, or something others. And so we cannot escape from suffering, right? Yes. So because of our desire or anger, right? Yes. But for the noble one, when the noble ones, when they encounter fame, or this case, they reflect. They are suffering, they are impermanent suffering and non-self. That's why they are happy. They are happy, or they think it is the nature of life. It is up and down. So they learn the lesson that make them strong, right? That's why they want to be they want to be unaffected by the eight worldly connections. So now they succeed, decade, the goal or the purpose, right? When we encounter suffering, we feel unhappy, right? We oppose suffering. But when we experience pleasure or happiness, we are tied to happiness, right? We hate suffering, but we are tied to pleasure or happiness. So the life is up and down. Sometimes we encounter pleasure. Some other time we encounter unhappiness, right? So when we just only attach to the good thing, that is pleasure, but we hate or oppose unhappiness, or the bad thing, so we cannot escape from suffering. We will encounter suffering, right? Because we cannot wish for the good thing. The life is encounter bad and good thing, desirable or undesirable thing. So when we wish only desirable thing, it means that we reject the nature of life. Okay, so that's why we cannot make our mind unaffected by the worldly connections, right? We will cry, we will be feel unhappy, we will feel unhappy because we are tied to the good thing. So for the educated noble disciples, they know, right? Gain, loss. Gain, loss, fame, disgrace, praise, blame. How do we say? Gain, loss. When they encounter the the eight worldly connection, they know, right? They discern. They are impermanent, suffering, and no self. So they control the mind. They don't allow the worldly condition disturb the mind. So the egg worldly condition or concern don't disturb the mind, don't occupy their minds. Yes, because they have the Dharma for themselves as their refuge, right? So they are undisturbed, they are unaffected ones. So because they know, right? Because they know them, yes, they are impermanent. So they don't favor, or they don't favor. How do I say? They neither favor, neither favor or no oppose. They just only discern, they just only observe, right? So for us, we cannot make ourselves strong. We favor only desirable thing, but we oppose undesirable thing, right? We wish for good thing, but we hate a bad thing. We wish for desirable thing, but we hate undesirable thing. So we favor the gain, praise, honors, and happiness, but we oppose loss, disgrace, blame, and pain, right? So we reject. That's why we cannot escape from the rebirth, old age, sickness, death, sorrow, lamentation, physical and mental suffering. And the last one, we can escape from despair, right? So in short, we are disturbed by the worldly conditions, right? We cannot escape from suffering. We are not free from suffering. Yeah, so to escape from suffering, we should know the nature of life. We should make ourselves to be affected by the eight worldly condition. So ordinary person cannot escape from the bad thing, right? Yeah, so we encounter bad thing, or the noble disciple also encounter them, right? So we should know they are impermanent, suffering, and answer. That's why we can escape from suffering. So they are different between ordinary and noble disciples. So we are ordinary persons. We cannot we always disturbed by the worldly conditions. But for ordinary noble disciples, they don't allow the worldly condition disturb the mind or occupy the mind, right? They are clever and mindful, so they can control and can they can accept the worldly condition or the worldly concerns. So gain, loss, fame, disgrace, praise, blame, pleasure, and pain happen to us. Also, they happen to the noble disciples. But what are the difference? So they are they cannot disturb the noble disciple, but they can occupy or disturb our mind, because we don't know the gain is it really, yes, is really it. We don't know, right? We don't know the worldly conditions as they really are. That's why we cannot escape from suffering. They always disturb our mind, right? So we are tied to the good thing, but we oppose the bad thing. Okay, that's why we know that the desirable thing disturb our mind, but desirable thing cannot disturb the noble disciple's mind, right? So we should pay respect to the noble disciple. So the both favoring and opposing, harm us, disturb us. So to give up the favoring or opposing, we should understand the thing as they really are, right? As the noble ones or noble disciple, they don't favor the desirable thing, and they don't oppose the undesirable thing. Okay, we favor only gain, honor, praise, and happiness, but we oppose, loss, disgrace, blame, and pain, right? So we oppose, we don't like, we hate, don't let them happen to us, but we let only desirable thing happen to us, like gain and fame, right? Happen to us. That's why we cannot escape from suffering. So the birth is not end by us. Old age, sickness, lamentation happen to us, right? So that's why the Buddha say to be unaffected by the worldly conditions is one of the blessing, right? Even though it is hard for us to practice or to follow, but it's good for us to reach, right? To be an unaffected persons, right? We know that it is very important for us, because we can end of suffering. We can reach the end of suffering, right? When we don't allow the desirable thing disturb our mind, so we can end up suffering. We can end the suffering, right? So it's good for us. That's why it is one of the blessing, right? That we feel for, right? Yes, thank you for your attention. Bye bye.